Good morning. It is 08:23 a.m. on May the 15th, and this is your morning brief. So yesterday I put out an out of sequence patch. I put out an out of sequence podcast. Microsoft put out a Tuesday patch. Wasn't out of sequence. But out of that, what was interesting was there was three particular ones that I felt there was a pretty mean bunch. I mean, they put out 79, 22 of them critical. But there was particularly three that was, a little bit weird. One of them was affects DHCP servers. Basically just craft a packet to a DHCP server, and that affected all current versions of Windows, which is kind of bad. But again, if you're DHCP, you're going to be on the inside. It's going to be probably a bigger issue. The other one was there was a GDI word. Basically, there was GDI word and DHCP. That was three there. But the biggest one that we saw was the CVE 2019-0708. And this was wormable, or this is a potentially wormable exploit that could be built. So the idea is that if you're running 3389 or remote desktop services or terminal services, what it used to be called, if you have that exposed, and we always tell people do not expose ports that are not necessary. You can lock this down by source IP, or even better, use sort of VPN access as opposed to Microsoft RDP direct access from the internet, because as you know, there is brute force tools out there for RDP, and now we've got this new vulnerability, CVE 2018-0708. So now we have these issues. So the idea is threat surface reduction, protect yourself by not having this service exposed, but in Turnable, you're gonna have to put these patches on pretty sharpish. I expect this. Let me actually rephrase that. It will be weaponized. This isn't one of those, hey, it potentially could be weaponized. This is going to be weaponized. And especially with the increase in ransomware that we've seen going on, this is a no-brainer for attackers. So they weaponize it, and then obviously it's going to be the standard kind of WannaCry tactic. Weaponize the exploit. So if you've got RDP exposed externally, compromise that system, scan for internal systems, compromise those, and that's where your ransomware kicks into play. So it's gonna be, I tell you how bad it was. Microsoft even released patches for Windows XP in 2003. Completely out of service. Said no, we're not going to do it again. But they didn't want to have a WannaCry on their hands. So basically, what they did was they turned around and said, "Hey, you know what? We better release this patch because we still know that people are using it." And if you are, I would really start looking at those legacy systems that require Windows XP, and maybe sort of put some other mitigation on there, or do something, because you shouldn't be running these anymore. There's not a good enough reason, I think, to be running Windows XP in 2003 server. And so there was a lot of patches came out from Microsoft, and then there were some other ones. Adobe dropped theirs, and there was in fact, Adobe fixed 86 flaws. Mainly in the Reader and Citrix 2 as one of its own, but there was a ton of stuff that got out, and it was a really interesting patch. I got a feeling that the Microsoft Windows patch, the RDP one, critical. They other companies just use, hey, look, if you've got any bad news, you better put it out today, because this is the day to put out all those patches so that everybody could just dump it all at once. But I guarantee that this is going to be wormable. Someone's going to reverse engineer the fix to find out what the problem was. Now, Microsoft actually, I think it was a couple of years ago, they decided to stop telling everyone what they was fixing. So at least it made the guys, have to work for their living to reverse engineer the exploit. But what you're going to find out is that this is going to be exploitable. And so I would definitely patch that one for start. They do say there's a mitigation if you use network level authentication. But again, mitigation is not the same as fixing and patching. So definitely require, make sure that you are able to patch that system. That one in particular, there was another one of those processor memory vulnerabilities as well that started to come out. I think this flaw affects every Intel processor since 2011. So again, academic researchers, found this. So you've got the Spectre and Meltdown. Now you've got another variant, and it doesn't look like there's a great fix for this because it's based more a case on, the processor design. And so it's more a case, I think, that you're going to have to see how to get this fixed. I mean, that's going to be the boffins, the eggheads working out how to fix this. But it was kind of similar. I'm surprised they didn't call it a name or come out with a specific emoji or some kind of website set up for it like they always do nowadays. But it definitely, they called it the Fallout attack. There was the previous ones. You got the Fallout attack, the zombie load. And there was this new breed of attacks is going against the dubbed. It's called the Micro-Architectural Data Sampling Attacks, or MDS attacks. And so these are consisting of 4 different flaws in the CPU caches. So there's not a lot I don't think you can do with that until sort of the boffins come out and put out some great fixes for this. But again, it doesn't say whether it's remote code execution. I've got a feeling it might be more local. So for my takeaway this week is, obviously get those patch updates for, Microsoft. Obviously the Adobe one, basically any critical patches you should be patching. But the particular one that we saw that looked really bad is that CVE 2019-0708. That's the one that could potentially have something like WannaCry. As soon as someone reverse engineers, they're going to work out how to do this, and they will be, looking for ransomware. And I got a feeling it's definitely one of those ones where we could see a particular nasty return of some ransomware. If someone engineers this, within a few days. Remember, it used to be. I remember the days when it would take like 6-7 months. Now we're down to like 6-7 days, which is why kind of like Red Spy came about, because literally the metric of once a year for pen testing is just not good enough anymore. We had to be able to show impact to an organization, but also have that organization understand and test the assurance, defensive capabilities of their systems. So, it's definitely something that's very interesting. But again, so it's going to be a busy time for those sysadmins, making sure, one, things aren't exposed externally. Definitely, talk to your analysts. The other part is, well, we're on the active hunt for it anyway, so you're going to be notified. But also bearing in mind that, if we see this, or if you've got things like that internally as well, you want to patch. Make sure you're patching these critical vulnerabilities. Patching will protect you against a lot of problems these days. And remember, you can get that bar graph or that pie chart that says you have patched 99% of the systems. But remember, as a pen tester, I live in that 1%. I live in that one area where you haven't patched. So, busy time for sysadmins, but hopefully everything goes well and we all get our patches up to date. And again, it is May the 15th. It is now 08:31, and that was your morning brief.
Shall we play a game?
We got one person online. The workload is enough for like 10 users. I think we got a hacker.